each 220 meters wide. The arch of each span is the shape of a parabola, with each end of the arch supported by a footing that raises it 40 meters above sea level. So our diagram, right, the end of the arch is 40 meters above sea level. The highest point of our arch would be 49 meters above sea level, and the entire span of each arch is 220 meters. It says, write an equation for the arch if the origin is placed. So with quadratics and parabolas, to come up with the equation of a real life piece of art or bridges or whatever the object may be, right, in terms of arches, you can place the parabola on and position it anywhere on your coordinate grid. It does not matter where you position it. What's going to be important is as long as you all get the same stretch values, so the same A value, which relates to the shape of the arch, everyone's answer will be correct. So for these two questions specifically, it's asking you, it's telling you where to place the origin of your coordinate grid in relationship to the arch. So it says, write an equation for the arch if the origin is placed at the highest point of the arch. So if I were to visualize my coordinate grid, and the origin is going to be the highest point of my arch. So here is my arch. Here's my highest point. So this is going to represent my parabola. So thinking about this parabola in terms of a coordinate grid now, right? We know this spans a total of 220 meters. And because we know parabolas are symmetrical, this point over here is going to be a positive 110, comma something, and this would be a negative 110, comma something. Okay, now we need to think of the y value of this on a coordinate grid. So thinking and going back to our graph, this from sea level is 40 meters to this point of the arch, and this is 9 meters. So that's or 49 meters. That's a difference of 9 meters. So if I were to go from the top of my bridge and go down, this would have a value of 9 meters. So this point here would have a value of -9 because I'm going down on my coordinate grid. So my y value for this would be -1. So now we're going to write the equation of this bridge. So we know the equation of a function is the following. Right? We can now substitute in our vertex. Well, the vertex of this would be 0, 0. So technically this just simplifies to y equals ax squared. That's it. Now we need to determine our a value. Well, to determine the a value, you need to substitute in a different point on the graph besides your vertex. And we have either this point or this point, and it doesn't matter which one you use. So I'm going to substitute my y value for -9. I'm going to substitute my x value with 110 and square that. So moving up here, we have a -9 equals 121, or 12,100 times a. I'm going to divide both sides, and I'll just leave this as a fraction. It's obviously probably not going to divide nicely, so there's my a value. So the equation of this parabola would be -9 over 12,100 x squared. Okay, a really, really small number means the shape of this arch is very, very wide, right? The width of the arch is going to be really, really wide. Okay, so now we're going to write the same equation, but we're going to position the parabola in a different spot on the coordinate grid. Write an equation for the arch if the origin is placed at sea level, okay, directly below the highest point on the arch. So is placed at sea level. So now this is sea level. And then here's my bridge up here. So here is the arch of my bridge, right? So a little bit different, right? But is the shape going to be any different? No, the shape is going to be the same, so we should end up with the exact same a value regardless of where this is positioned. Okay, so now let's think about each of these points again. Again, the span is the same, so this is still going to be 110 as my x. But what is my y value going to be? Well, if this is the sea level down here, the lowest point from the sea level, this would have to have a height of 40 meters. So this would have to be 40. Okay, and this point over here would be a negative 110 and a positive 40. Okay, so the only difference that's happened here is, well, thinking about my vertex now is, my x value would still be 0, but my y value, well, this is 40, and this is now the highest point of my graph. So this, my vertex, my y value would be 49. So the equation of this graph would be y equals, I don't need to calculate my a value again because I know the shape has not changed. My a value is still going to be negative 9 over 12,100. X minus 0. So x minus 0 is technically just x squared. I don't even need a set of brackets. And then my q value would be plus 49. And that would be the equation of my quadratic.